when their guy plays some games.
Alright, it is very late, but it is finally time to record the gosh darn favorite games that we played in 2024 on this channel. Let's go! Goodness gracious, it's recording this on January 13th. This was supposed to come out on like December 31st, but holidays took forever. Holy moly. Anyway, so this list is going to be the favorite games that we played on this channel in this past year. It's going to be based purely on how much I enjoyed myself playing it on the channel. It's very subjective, and don't take it too hard or whatever if your favorite game didn't rank super high. Like, for example, I'll go ahead and give a small spoiler. Last of Us ranked fairly low, and a lot of that reason is just because how well the PC port performed for me during my recording. The only other thing I'd like to add is that we will not be including games that I have not played a significant portion of in 2024, so that's going to be Patrick's Parabox and The Witness. Those will be on next year's list. And I believe that's all I got, so let's get into it.
V is a consonant, a letter in the alphabet. V is a consonant, a letter in the alphabet.
So, coming in at 14, we have V. Now, even though this is at the bottom of the list, it's by no means a bad game. I did enjoy my time with it, but the main downside for me was that the game was fairly short. I completed it in a pretty quick amount of time, I would say. There was a decent amount of challenge here for sure, but it was quick. The levels were all fairly similar, and what else is there really to say? I don't know. It was pretty cute. There weren't a whole lot of gimmicks or anything like that. It was just a pretty quick platforming romp. Not much else to add. If you're unfamiliar with this game, basically the main thing of it is it's basically like a Metroidvania, I guess, without power-ups. You're basically exploring a large world. And your movement mechanic is whenever you press the jump button, you reverse your gravity to the ceiling, and vice versa. That's about it. It was definitely a fun game. It was too short for me, and there wasn't much variety in the gameplay, and the gameplay that was there wasn't hugely exciting for me personally. I know this might be a terrible ranking for some people, but I still did have fun.
What do you want? When do you want it? How do you want it?
At 13, we have Mobile Suit Baba. This game is a combination of Baba Is You and Into the Breach, two puzzle games. Now, this game is another one whose ranking is lower, mostly just because it was fairly short. But I will say that the puzzles that were here were very well done and interesting, and there was multiple solutions, and the dialogue was great, the characters were great. It's definitely a fun time, and it was free whenever I got it. I don't know if it's still free. But yeah, if you like Baba Is You, if you like Into the Breach, this is a game that I would highly recommend for you. I did have a ton of fun with it, honestly. It was just too short for me. I wish it had like 200 levels, like how Baba Is You does. But with that being said, it was fun, just too short for me. Okay, we're at 12, and this is probably the most controversial ranking of this list. At 12th, we have Last of Us Part 1. Now, what Last of Us has going for it that is absolutely great, in my opinion, is the dialogue, the cutscenes, and the story. The dialogue specifically is so good and believable and well acted and absolutely lovely. The gameplay was pretty good. I wasn't honestly that crazy about it. It was fine. Not much else to say about the gameplay. It was mostly a lot of stealth action going on and some shooting, but Nothing about the gameplay was super exciting. It was mostly nerve-wracking, and there was puzzles, but a lot of the puzzles were just pushing things across bodies of water. It was kind of silly. But the game is absolutely carried by its story and dialogue. It's insanely carried by how good that stuff is. The main downside, which I mentioned earlier for me during this playthrough, was this was the Steam port, and this was also shortly after the Steam port came out. And because of that, and because of the hardware I'm playing on, I had a lot of technical issues with this, like a lot. And that really hampered my enjoyment of it. I do plan on playing Last of Us Part 2, but I'll probably just be playing that on the PS5 and not putting that on the channel. So I did love it. Still, I thought the story was great. It's going to stick with me. And I can't wait to see what's next with the next game whenever I play that.
You did, didn't you? You fell down a fucking hill. You get drunk, you lose your gun, you take a header off the balcony, and now you're gonna tell me it's like a hallowed time on a detective ploy, right?
It was very slippery up there, okay? I was in the pool.
You were in the pool?
Yeah.
Why?
I had to question the mermaids. What were you doing while I was working?
We are now here at 11th place, and we have Disco Elysium. Disco Elysium was one of the longest games I played this year, but it was totally worth the time investment. Wonderful dialogue, a lot of dialogue, but wonderful dialogue. The soundtrack is top 3 probably for this whole list. Really good soundtrack. And besides that, the story was pretty good. I think what really carries this as well is the way the characters interact with each other, the freedom of choice that you have. The mystery is fine, but mostly the fun in this game is the interactions and then seeing where you take your character in this game, because it's a branching path, and it's one of these games where you can do a lot of falling forward. You can make a total dunce and still progress without too much trouble. It's a good time. The main reason why it is low on this list, for me at least, is a lot of the dialogue is very dense. Like, it is so dense. They just put so much in random things. I spent a whole video basically reading a magazine that didn't really have any relevance to the plot or the characters. It was just about the political situation going on. And it is a fairly political game. It's as political as you want it to be, I would say. But yeah, this game was fun. It was hilarious, silly, had very strong moments as well. There's a couple of one action sequence near the end of the game absolutely blew me away. And honestly, getting to that point was worth the entire price of admission. So definitely check this out for sure. It was a really fun playthrough for me.
It's the climb.
Now at 10th place, we have Descent. Descent is a climbing game, and it's got beautiful art. It's very relaxing. Like, it is just a zen game to play. It was such a fun playthrough. It was fairly short, but it was beautiful and breezy. It just made me feel good to play it. It took off so much stress in my life when I played it. I don't know how it did that, but it just did. It just felt so good to climb. It felt wonderful to reach new heights and to just look down and see how far up you've come, you know? And the ending is also very beautiful. There's also lots of lovely dialogue that you discover within the world, like past notes and things like that, and it's fun following their journeys as they also ventured up the mountain. And yeah, this game was just such a vibe. It was such a chill playthrough. I highly recommend you play this on your own as well. You could probably finish it in an afternoon. And honestly, that's the only negative thing for me, is I wish it was maybe double the length, and then it would have probably been near perfect for me. It was just such a good time. I don't know. You should play it.
Wadsworth, am I right in thinking there is nobody else in this house?
No.
Then there is someone else in this house.
No, sorry. I said no, meaning yes.
No meaning yes? Look, I want a straight answer. Is there someone else, or isn't there? Yes or no?
No.
No, there is, or no, there isn't?
Yes.
Okay, we are now in the top 9. We are at the point where I will consider all these games to be not just good, but great. And in 9th place, we have Case of the Golden Idol, which was super cool and interesting and different. This was a detective game, and you basically solve it one screen at a time, and you have to do a lot of deduction, a lot of critical thinking, things like that. Very challenging at points, but it also eases you into it with a steady difficulty curve. And I loved the plot, the way it connects to itself. I love seeing how, because this takes place over a very significant period of time, I would say. And it was just so fun. I really struggled at points and got stuck, but it was so satisfying to find the solutions to these puzzles. And it was very creative as well in how they expected you to find these answers. It made logical sense, but it was like once you figured it out, it just felt so good. Besides that, the one negative I had with this was not even the game's fault. It was my own fault. And that was my recording of this was kind of scuffed. I messed up the audio for several episodes. I spent an afternoon recording like 5 hours worth and just scuffed it all. This is one of those games where you can't replay it or anything, so I just had to go forward with the scuffed audio, you know. And that, I think, really suffered the playthrough as far as presentation goes. But still, on its own, great game. Highly recommend. I'm going to definitely play The Rise of the Golden Idol, which released recently. I'll try to squeeze that in this year on this channel. We'll see what happens. Definitely check this one out.
He just kept chugging along. Chicka, 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 chicka. Toot, toot. Not even when they climbed aboard the train and popped out the eyes of the conductor, and blood and snot was ripping out his eye sockets. Think that stopped the little engine that could?
Okay, in 8th place we have Sunless Skies. This is a very interesting, fun, sometimes stressful, kind of roguelike game. You basically pilot a locomotive through the skies above a fallen London, sort of thing. And you explore, you meet these different towns and stuff. This is also a game that I'm still ongoing. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And every time you die, you restart with a new captain, but you sort of carry some things over depending on how well you did. And the other interesting thing about this is the world keeps going on. The only thing that changes is you get a new captain, but the world still goes on, and the changes that you've made to the world, for better or worse, continue. And I think that's really interesting. The game is just so fun. It has a lot of trading and travel, exploration. I get surprised all the time. Great. Oh my gosh. The dialogue in this game, the writing is so good and unique. The amount of times I stumble over words because they're so elegant is crazy. And the characters are interesting. It's just a very fantastical, sort of dark world. There's cool, scary monsters. There's tons, again, to explore. It's just a lot of fun. I've only scratched the surface of this game, and I can't wait to keep playing it. Man, I don't know. I think the only thing that holds me back from ranking this higher is the loop is a little slow at times, a little bit of a grind on occasion to get back. I think if the pacing was faster, I'd rank this even higher, but still, definitely recommend. I can't believe Epic got me this game for free. I was so happy when I started playing this, and I can't wait to record it again. Definitely get it.
Your Honor, I object!
And why is that, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case!
Overruled.
Good call!
In 7th place, we're at another game that is ongoing. We are on Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Now, I think if you're watching this, you likely know what these games are. It's detective work, it's lawyer work, it's solving mysteries, and it's super fun. The gameplay is fairly simple, but for me, what is making this playthrough so fun is all of the characters are awesome, especially our main hero and Sherlock Sholmes. And what I love most about this, what's making this playthrough so unique and fun for me, is doing voices for all these characters. It's just so fun giving everybody voices. And the mysteries are interesting. Sometimes you're at a point where you're like, how in the hell are we going to get out of this? And then you find these narrow avenues to escape. And another thing that's quite interesting is these cases don't end in ways that you expect. It's not always a happy ending. Tragedy happens. Sometimes a good person gets in trouble. Sometimes bad people get away with it, which has happened multiple times, spoilers. But most of all, the characters are great, the design is great, the sound is great, and again, I love doing the voices. Definitely play this one, or if you're not going to play it, I think checking out my playthrough is quite fun.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Now we're completely shifting gears as we go to Hotline Miami 2. Now, earlier I said that Disco Elysium had one of the best soundtracks. Hotline Miami 2 has the best soundtrack on this list. It is so good. And what makes this game great is it's just so fun. The action is incredible. It's such a good time. The whole time you're just on the edge of your seat. You're playing, you're kicking butt, you're dying, you're kicking butt, you're killing, you're dying. It's just so fun. The energy level is so high when you're playing this. It's just tension in your whole body, and it feels so good whenever you pull things off. It's so fun. Holy moly, this game is just such a good adrenaline rush. If you like Hotline Miami 1, you'll love this. It's basically the same game as far as gameplay. There's a couple changes here and there, but nothing quite noticeable. There's some dual wielding stuff that goes on. The story is still basically incomprehensible, but who the hell cares? It's just a fun dang game. It's so fun. So fun.
So much space. Need to see it all. I'm in space. I'm in space. I'm in space.
Okay, we are now getting to the best of the best games right here. We are at 5th place. We are at Outer Wilds. Now, this is a game that is hard to talk about because it has very unique mechanics. It has very unique storytelling. It has very unique forms of exploration. And how do I say this? How do you even talk about this game? How do you do it? I'll just say this. This game is wonderful. You should definitely play it. The soundtrack, I can say, is definitely amazing. Top 5 soundtrack for sure as well. And man, you just learn a lot and you get better every time you play it. And you can only really play through this game one time. And after that, the magic is not quite going to be there as much, I don't think. But this first playthrough, the discoveries that you make, learning how to progress in this game, it feels so good. The world design in this game is so imaginative and creative. I wish I would have thought of some of these things before, just in my own time when creating things. It's just so cleverly made. It really is. You should play this.
What about
Hollow Knight.
We've already had it.
We've had one, yes. What about
Silk Song. 4th place. We are at Hollow Knight. Now, you likely know what Hollow Knight is. You're probably waiting for Silk Song, like everybody else has been for years. Hollow Knight is classic Metroidvania style, and what you do in this game is you fight monsters, you explore the world, you uncover the slightly vague backstory, in my opinion, that I still don't quite understand. But this game feels so good to navigate. The platforming feels fluid, it feels smooth, so nice. The fighting is great, the bosses are awesome, the atmosphere is great, the music's great. It's just very inventive and fun. Feels so good whenever you unlock a new power-up. There's multiple avenues to progress, which is very interesting. There's always some form of exploration to do. And man, I gotta tell you, it's just so fun. It just feels great whenever you're moving around. The movement feels incredible. Like, the length is awesome. It's like the perfect length for a game, in my opinion. It's so good. And again, the gameplay is just so solid. The exploration feels awesome. I have a hard time thinking of downsides. And there's so much post-game content too after you beat the main story. I haven't even dug into the post-game content, but there's like boss rushes, there's harder forms of bosses that you had previously fought. There's all sorts of sick stuff, and the community is so good, and eventually this game is going to have a sequel, so definitely play this. We are now in the final 3. We are at Final Fantasy VII. Now, this is a legendary game. I can't believe I waited so long to play this. It was such a fun playthrough. The story is crazy. The story is awesome. You all know the Final Fantasy VII shtick, I believe. And so there's not really much else for me to say. You know the story is great. You know the characters are awesome. You know the dialogue is awesome. You know that the world is interesting and exciting. You know that what the combat is like, it's pretty good. What I will say, the one thing I disliked about this game, the one thing that's holding it out from being top 2, I would say, is the minigames. Some of the minigames I just absolutely hated, but it's totally set off by the power of the characters, especially the villain. Sephiroth is a legendary villain, and he's so badass. He's so cool. Ah, man, this game was just so awesome. The world is large. It feels good to explore, get your new forms of travel. There's twists all over the frickin' place that are awesome. There's lots of villains. There's a variety of villains, not just sequential villains, but there's a cast of different factions that you're dealing with at the same time, and it's so interesting seeing them show up. And they're not just against you, some of them are against each other, and that's also quite interesting. But man, Cloud's a great protagonist. He's a very interesting protagonist. He's maybe the most complex protagonist in the game I've played, honestly. And wow, this game's great. At some point I need to play the remakes, you know, that are coming out, but definitely play this if you haven't for some reason, or check out my playthrough. That would also be quite cool. Okay, second place, Tears of the Kingdom. Everybody knows, actually scratch that, not everybody knows this game is great. There are haters out there. They are terrible people if they're haters for this game. This game is so good. Man, there's so much to do, there's so much to explore. The story, honestly, is better than Breath of the Wild in my opinion. There's some really good twists in here that I quite enjoyed, and it really recontextualizes earlier scenes. The gameplay is still awesome. The world is awesome. The world is more full now because it's been built up a bit since Breath of the Wild, so that's pretty interesting. There's new enemies. It's basically doubled in size as far as how much exploration there is to do. Ganon is a really good enemy in this game. The cutscenes are better too, in my opinion. And gosh, then not even get me started on the powers now. The powers in this game, they really empower you. They, between going up into the ceiling and being able to combine things together and being able to reverse time, they really give you a lot of tools to work with in this game, and that really makes things so fun and exciting. And it really lets them put challenges in front of you that are intimidating, you know, but you're able to cleverly figure stuff out, work out different ways to solve problems, and that is also very satisfying. And Great cast of characters. Honestly, I have a hard time thinking of downsides for this game. The lead ups to the dungeon in this game are so good. Like the path that you have to take to get to the 4 main regional phenomena, they are incredible. They're so awesome. They're so varied and different, and the boss battles are very epic in this game. Man, great game. If only it was slightly better, it would get ahead into this #1 spot.
In the eyes of a ranger, the unsuspecting stranger had better know the truth of wrong from right.
Okay, we are at the top of the list. Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, this game is so good. It's so detailed. It's so fun. It runs so smoothly. The dialogue is incredible. The voice acting is incredible. The story is incredible. The world, oh my goodness, the world is so good. It's so alive. That's the biggest thing. You're traveling and the world just feels alive. The nature feels so realistic to me. The towns feel so realistic, and the game accounts for random BS that you do, and just if you want to see that it works, it just works. It's crazy. It's so fun. Like at one point, I randomly was just like, I wonder what'll happen if I hop onto this carriage, what the guy will do. And sure enough, the guy just rode me around, you know? We just had a conversation about him riding me around. It was great. It felt awesome. It felt so natural to what I expected to happen. And that's what's so great about this game, is everything happens mostly as you expect it to as far as the world goes. And the characters, again, are all awesome. Dutch is a really, really good character. You see characters like him a lot in fiction. And it's just so satisfying to see his arc play out and see what happens with it. And you also have the main protagonist, Arthur Morgan, who's so good. He's so badass. He's just great. And man, this game is just so dang fun. Holy moly. The plot in this game is so good. It's so good. It's one thing after another, and it all makes logical sense in a great way. It's like if you're watching something like Breaking Bad and you have that escalation of stress that happens within the movie, within the show. It happens just like that in the game. It starts small and the stress just escalates and escalates, and everything builds off of something very well that happened earlier in the game. It feels so great, so satisfying, so fun, and oh man, the music is so good. It's so cinematic. It's so fitting to whatever you're doing. The music in this game is really, really something. There's, I think, 2 songs in this game, maybe 3, that have lyrics, and they occur at specific points in the game. And man, when those moments happen, it's just pure frickin' cinema, dude. It's so good. Gosh, I cannot recommend this game enough. I think I'm gonna play Red Dead 1 this year too on this channel. It was such a fantastic experience. I can't stress that enough. Was it the best game I have played on this channel? Was it? No. That still goes to Baldur's Gate 3, but I think this easily was the best game I played this year. It was that good. This whole list was great, but Red Dead 2 was just so good. Holy hell. Man, let's freaking go. And that is my list. Thank you so much for checking it out. Feels great to finally get this out there. And again, I enjoyed every single game on this list. I wouldn't pick games to play if I thought I would not enjoy them. All of these were so good. I just had to rank them. It's just what I gotta do. It's just the thing that you do. You know what I mean? But seriously, play any of the games on this list today and you will have a good time. I pinky promise. If you have any issues with this list, comment. That's fine. We can talk about it. I respond to all my comments. It's great. It feels good. Even if you have something negative to say, that's totally fine, man. Just tell me what you gotta say. Give me your opinion. That's totally cool. Don't mind at all. If you like what you saw, man, I upload every single day. I've done it for 2 years straight. Every single day we have a new video from one of my Let's Plays. And I am still going strong, and I'm having so much fun with it. So please, check out my channel. We got a lot of games going on right now. We still have Baba Is You. We have Sunless Skies going on. We have Patrick's Parabox going on. We have, oh man, what else do we have going on? We have Ace Attorney Chronicles going on. And we have The Witness going on. Those are all active right now. I'm on a bit of a puzzle kick, and it's been fun. Jeez Louise. This was so fun. It was such a good year in 2024, man. As far as the games that I played, I am so lucky to have been able to play this selection of games. It was really a treat, honestly. It was so good. Oh man. And on to 2025. We're going to make another one of these lists next year. We're going to try to get even better games played. We'll see what happens. Thank you all so much. Please comment, like, subscribe. It means the world to me. Every time I see it, my heart smiles. I smile in real life. I tell my wife, I tell my child, please do it. Thank you so much. And last but not least, make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure you take care of others. And I'll see you next time. Peace out.